And Mr. Jack, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Super excited to be here with these amazing panelists and entrepreneurs. I'll just kind of get straight into the first question for the panelists, and that is, what use case will get 1 billion people to adopt Web3? And I'd like to start at the end with Franklin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me up here. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think it's going to be one single use case. I think it's going to be a combination of various use cases. I think finding a way to create seamless interactions between Web 2 and Web 3 will enable regular people to get onboarded into this space, right? So that's going to be wallet solutions. That's going to be data solutions. It's going to be DeepIn solutions. But it's going to be finding a way to make all those things interconnected. That's what I got.
Thanks for having me. I agree with what Franklin is
I
saying.
would eat the mic too. Just
Hello.
So I would also say it has to be something like a super app where decentralized identities and where you can make transactions and where you can book things. And especially in countries where a lot of these things are restricted or limited, it would make sense to have such an app where people are able to access all these services in one. I think that's one way to go about with it.
I don't know if I would have to agree or disagree in terms of, what you said, Franklin, about wallets and onboarding. If you think back, how did we get the first 1 billion people on the internet? It wasn't a very easy process. Having a modem connected, having a phone line, dial-up internet. If you're in America, you remember AOL, America Online. It wasn't an easy process, right? And to get to that very first 1 billion users, it took many, many years. And it took many, many technicalities of learning how to code, how to interact with websites, and learning how to, back in the old days, when you had like a Windows 95 computer, it wasn't very simple, right? So it wasn't easy for like my mom or my grandma. They were not on the internet back then, right? When we got that first 1 billion users, those were mostly the early adopters, the younger generations. I grew up on a computer, right? And I got that because my dad was a young father and he was a younger generation. So I think it's not necessarily about the onboarding. I think it's more about the uses. Why did you start using the internet? Because there was a reason for you to shop online, to communicate, to do all these different things, right? So I think it's not about necessarily the onboarding, the wallets, the flows of fiat, on-ramps, and stuff like that. I think it's more about the use case of what can you utilize the blockchain for that would require 1 billion people to be interacting with it. That would be my view.
Do you have an example?
Oh, an example. I have one that comes to mind that is probably not very appropriate for the room, which is what started the early internet and made it so popular, if you know what that answer is. But a more realistic example of what 1 billion people might be utilizing it for is payment rails. So this is very basic. Now, we've heard this for many years in crypto, which is crypto is going to be the currency of the future. Everyone's going to be paying with crypto. We've seen that that's not the case. Right? You're not paying anything with crypto because you want to hold on to your crypto. But crypto and Visa and MasterCard, for example, they're doing millions and millions of transactions every single day, if not per second, right? And so that payment interaction is a use case that I can see very applicable just because of the word currency and cryptocurrency. If you take it a step further, though, and you say something like websites or music, if there was a new revolution where all music was an NFT, for example, and then the NFT interactions was the same as going to a website when you were in the early days and you wanted to look at, Napster and download an album or something like that, or LimeWire, right? If you wanted to do these things, that was not easy. It wasn't easy to torrent back then, but you had hundreds of millions of people doing it. So I think there's a range of use cases, and I can't really predict the future, but if you look back on the internet historically, and just think about what could apply to crypto, I think you'll find a lot of use cases that could add up to 1 billion people.
So I love that, by the way. But I do have one thing. I think there's one big difference between where we're at currently and where the internet was at in, say, 1995, 1998. Right?
What's the difference?
There was one sort of path to the internet. It was like one centralized system, whereas what we've built over the last, I want to say, 5 years is a series of disparate communities that have their own version of that one place where we'll go. So instead of using all these various apps that we've built and these different ecosystems that we've essentially siloed to create that sort of one place where it all lives, where those dApps sit on, a layer 0 for instance, right? What we've created is like, here's Internet A, here's Internet B, here's Internet 17C. And a lot of them do individual things and are novel, right? But none of them really need to be their own individual place.
Couldn't you compare that almost to an ISP? We have hundreds of ISPs. Every nation has multiple ISPs. But you're accessing the internet overall. The internet is censored in some countries. You're not accessing the free internet, right? Depending on where you're located at. So it's almost like if there's an interoperability between one layer 1 and another layer 1, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, or Ripple and Ethereum, or whatever, Solana and Bitcoin. If there's these interactions, then it's the same as the interaction of an ISP from Singapore interacting with the ISP in America because the server's on AWS in America, right?
1,000%. And that's where I think we agree, is you have to create that connective tissue between those layer 1s and layer 2s. And I don't think we're there yet. I think the tech might be there. I actually know the tech's there. But I don't think people are building that because that's not what seems to be the general consensus.
I wouldn't say the tech's there either. I think it needs to be more in the background because like you don't know what ISP is connected to what ISP, right? But you do know when you're bridging from a layer 2 to a layer 1, right? Or if you're bridging between that, right?
I will rescind my seat. You're correct.
I think
there.
in time we will get to the point where you won't even realize what you're doing. You just realize that you're interacting with the blockchain, and the blockchain is the blockchain.
Awesome. I wanted to get into meme coins and marketing. We're just hopping into the next subject. I'm watching the timer here. Do you guys think that meme coins and this sort of wave of meme coin marketing is good for Web3? I read today that Pump Fund did 100 million in revenue already. So just kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. Go for it. If you want to start off, Zach.
Well, so I think overall meme coins, there's a fad that comes up in crypto every few months. The fad will last for a few months, and then it disappears. When I've been in crypto since 2011, 2012, into 2011, 2012. I've seen a lot of fads, from ICOs, DAOs, from master nodes, to staking, to DeFi, to like SocialFi, GameFi, Metaverse, NFTs, you name it. There's always these fads. Meme coins is actually nothing new. We had meme coins for years. You know the original meme coin? Dogecoin. And that was before Ethereum, right? And so meme coins are not a new meta. It's just a meta that's come back on a new chain, Solana, and a lot of people are flocking to it because they're able to make a lot of money. Now, is it going to last for a while? No, probably not. Did Pump Fund do really good and make $100 million? Good on them. Good on them, man. They made $100 million. And hopefully people made money trading those meme coins, but it is a zero-sum game. So if you made money, I probably lost money, and he made my money, right? So I can't say if it's good or bad. It's a speculative investment, and I don't think that's necessarily what we want Web3 and crypto to be associated with, which is just gambling, speculation, and like Wall Street investments, right? Web3 should be something more. It should be more impactful. So I think that's my opinion on meme coins.
I agree. But at the same time, I feel like it gives an opportunity for people who are not crypto native or understand crypto to get into something that's easy to understand without having to understand a project or tech. They just get into something they like a community. And it's just a way to get people who are not technically or coming from the crypto background into crypto. I feel like that's one way it's working.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you want to add on?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to piggyback on the last point that Zack made. I guess and this is something that's that I think about quite often late at night, is are meme coins, are these things ultimately additive to what we're trying to build here from an ethos perspective and also from an onboarding perspective, or does it just solidify opinions that people that don't really understand what we're doing already have about the space, which is that it's just degenerative in nature and it's ultimately a Ponzi scheme, right? And I'd be lying if I said I haven't made some W's on shit tokens. I have, and I wouldn't want to trade that back at all. Like, I'm a big fan. But that being said, it's like, are we moving that mission forward? Are we looking to build that ISP of the future, right? Or not? And I don't necessarily know if we're able to kind of gauge the market and onboard, that next generation, that billion users, if essentially that's kind of what everybody believes we're doing.
A really good point that you bring up, and I like it because it brings an idea into my head, which I think a lot of you will resonate with. There's a reason that Vegas is Vegas and Wall Street is Wall Street. Why is that? Think about that. Because that's where you gamble and speculate. And society, at least in America, confine it. They say you can only gamble in Vegas. Well, you can gamble in some other places too, but it's mostly Vegas, right? So if you want to be a degenerate gambler, you go to Vegas and it stays there. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And if you're a professional gambler, where do you go? You go to Wall Street, right? And if you're on Wall Street, there's the secrecy that happens there. What happens on Wall Street on the inside of hedge funds stays inside of hedge funds, right? And that's the degeneracy. But as a society as a whole, there's a lot more to America than those two segments. So if you think about crypto as a society as a whole, we can have little pockets for gamblers. We can have little pockets for casinos. But there's small pockets when the rest of the country, the rest of the ecosystem needs to be about everyday people that are not degenerates. So that's, I would comment on that. That's the idea you gave me, so thank you.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good answer from both of you guys. And I kind of want to get into the next topic, which is decentralized social media and the viability. We've seen a lot of growth or investment in companies like Farcaster and Lens, and there's going to be others, I'm sure. What do you guys think about sort of the viability of decentralized social media? And do you think there's any clear winners in the space right now?
Yeah, so I mean, I use Farcaster, but then again, I use it far less than I did when it first came out. I guess I have like a pretty soft view on it. I think I saw a lot of really cool stuff start getting built with frames. Icebreaker was a really cool app that I got onboarded to on super early, and I saw all this stuff go. I saw DGen come out, and then I saw sort of the heat kind of get turned off. And for me, I was just like, all right, well, people are just resorting back to Twitter. So it's like, I guess the question is what are we solving with a decentralized social media platform like Farcaster? And where I think I want to look at it more from a retrospective perspective, like where did, why didn't it launch? Why didn't things kind of progress the way at least I thought they were going to? Because ultimately, I wind up going to crypto Twitter rather than Farcaster for the vast majority of my doom scrolling throughout the day.
Okay. So I personally don't use any of the social apps, to be honest. I am in the decentralized space. But I'm a huge supporter of what everyone's doing. And I see the potential in the tech being able to solve a lot of problems. So speaking personally, I would say if I could, or the reason I would and wouldn't use an app is like something like Spotify. So coming from an art or music background, I really have an understanding of some problems in the current way of things being done in the industry. And I have a lot of artist friends who bring up the issues as well. So I would love to be able to use and support an app that could potentially disrupt Spotify. But I think one reason I might not use that every day is because of the user experience, basically. Because the reason I use Spotify is because I listen to an artist, it can suggest me other artists that sound like that, or create a playlist, share that with my friends, and use AI in different ways to create mixes and everything. So I feel like machine learning and AI is a lot of the things that are driving these user experiences. Another example is if you go on Instagram, search for something like a beach or a festival like Coachella, maybe. You can find other related content related to Coachella or artists who are playing on Coachella. But if you go on OpenSea, for example, you search for Coachella, you'll only find NFTs that has the exact word Coachella. This limits the user experience, and I would rather use a social platform that enables me to find this content. So I feel like that gap between machine learning algorithms and AI and blockchain applications is probably one of the things that keeps people from using these applications.
That's an interesting comment. So I want to just kind of do a self-plug here on Mintable because I'm a big AI fan. And searching has always been a problem for discovering NFTs. So we built an AI search. Dude, it was such a process. It's taken us over a month to migrate all the data on the Ethereum blockchain related to every 721 transaction that's ever happened, okay? So every NFT transaction that's ever happened, we've backed up the metadata, we've got all this data on chain, we've ran it through a LLM, and so now when we launch, it's coming, it might launch today, but I don't want to give it away. We'll have an AI smart search where you can say, transfer my Pudgy Penguin, and he'll immediately take you to the transfer page for your Pudgy Penguin. You can say, show me information related to music NFTs, and it will be able to show you all the different music NFTs. If you type in things related to Coachella, the AI knows it's looking for things related to Coachella, which is music, and it's got a whole system. It can recommend you all these collections, and then we also have to deal with spam collections too, and like fake collections, and so we had to filter that out. So the AI search that we built out, it's rudimentary now, like I would say ChatGPT 3 was, and in a few months it'll be 4.5, right? And that's just for discoverability on AI. But when we're talking about social networks, was the original question, I think the main reason why Farcaster and Warpcast and decentralized social networks hasn't taken off is the same reason why social networks and social media companies are dominated and are basically monopolies, is because the people using them, they don't care about their data privacy. They don't care that all their information is being sold. They don't know or are even aware that there is a Facebook tracker on like everything that they're doing, even if they don't have a Facebook account. I notoriously have never used Facebook ever. I don't have a Facebook account. I don't have an Instagram account. I only use Twitter. But even then, I still know that my data is compromised. And as a crypto CEO and someone who takes data security very seriously, I don't care enough to switch over to a decentralized network with more friction and less users when I could just be careful about what I post online. I don't post pictures of my daughter online because that's sensitive data. I don't want people to see that, right? If it was a decentralized network and I knew it was completely private, maybe I'd feel comfortable, but I don't. And so you just monitor what you post. And I think we all do that. Only the crazy uncles and the crazy aunts that we have that post the crazy stuff on Facebook are the people that don't monitor what they post online because we know it's online forever. So I don't think a decentralized social media network's ever really going to take off because of the monopoly and the lack of the general populace caring about their data privacy.
Awesome. Well, we've got about a minute left. So if everyone, the final question, just very quickly, is what does community mean to you? If you could say it in 15 seconds.
It's a bunch of people getting together that are invested in the success of something, right? Whether that be a new DApp, a sports team, a crypto project. It's a group of people that are invested in the success of a single ideology.
Something similar. People coming together to support a vision, and if they can achieve their goals through that group effort, that's a community for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's not very many definitions. I'd have to go with what you said. A community is a group of people that are coming together for whatever reason. A knitting community, they're not invested in any kind of success, but they're still a community. So I don't know if I would have to include the investment part, but most crypto are for investments, so that makes sense. But yeah, it's just a group of people. It's a group of people that share some common principle, something, right?
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being amazing panelists. Make sure to follow them and join their communities. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for
everyone.
having us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.